In the years before the Second World War, the balance between nations was beginning to crack once more. Across Europe, the drums of war grew louder. In the north, the Royal Navy watched the frozen waters of Norway and the North Sea, knowing that if war was to come again, these cold, icy waters would once again become a battlefield. Across those waters, Britain's ships patrolled constantly, a silent shield of cruisers, destroyers, and patrol vessels, ready to respond to any sign of German aggression. Among these ships that would soon sail into history was a destroyer named HMS Hardy. She was launched in 1936 and commissioned the next year. She was sleek, fast, and modern for her time. Hardy was built for the war Britain feared most, one fought in distant seas, where speed, courage, and resolve mattered more than armor or size. Her keel represented the last generation of destroyers designed in the peace after World War I, and her story would end in one of the most desperate fights of the Second World War. When HMS Hardy joined the Royal Navy's Home Fleet, she carried the pennant number H-87 and a crew of roughly 150 men. Her role was simple but vital: to guard the fleet's heavy ships, hunt submarines, and protect convoys that kept Britain alive. In the middle of the 1930s, the Empire's sea lanes were long, its commitments endless, and the shadow of new war machines, the aircraft, the submarine, and the fast cruiser, forced new thinking. Hardy and her sisters represented this thinking. Lean, capable, and fast enough to meet any threat. Her early years were uneventful. The ship patrolled British waters, trained with the Home Fleet, and tested her limits in the rough northern seas. Her captain, Commander Geoffrey Augustus Roe, and later Commander Bernard Warburton-Lee, knew that Hardy's time in calm waters would not last. In 1939, Europe was sliding toward disaster. Hitler's armies had marched into Poland, and Britain once again found itself at war with Germany. For Hardy and the destroyers of the Home Fleet, it meant endless patrols in the North Sea, watching for German ships and U-boats that prowled beneath the waves. In the spring of 1940, a new threat emerged. Germany had set its eyes on Norway, a land rich in iron ore, and strategically vital for control of the North Atlantic. The Royal Navy knew it could not allow the Germans to take it without a fight. HMS Hardy, now under the command of Captain Bernard Warburton-Lee, was chosen to lead a flotilla of destroyers northward. Their mission was to strike the German invasion fleet that had seized the Norwegian port of Narvik, deep within the Fjord, a narrow, snow-lined stretch of water surrounded by mountains and ice. The flotilla consisted of 5 destroyers, Hardy as leader, accompanied by HMS Hunter, Havoc, Hotspur, and Hostile. Together, they would face a powerful enemy force that had already landed troops at Narvik, supported by 10 German destroyers hidden deep within the fjord. The odds were terrible. The Germans had the advantage in numbers and position. Warburton-Lee had devised a bold plan. Strike at first light, hit the German destroyers in the harbor before they could react, and withdraw before reinforcements could trap them. It was the kind of gamble that only destroyermen could take, relying on precision, daring, and luck. The British destroyers advanced, guns ready, torpedoes armed. At 4:30 a.m. Hardy opened fire, her shell streaked through the grey dawn, crashing into the German destroyers moored at Narvik's docks. In the confusion, explosions tore through the harbor, as ammunition and fuel stores ignited. German sailors scrambled to return fire, but the British had the advantage for now. Hardy's crew worked with machine precision. Her 4.7-inch guns hammered targets at point-blank range. Within minutes, 2 German destroyers were heavily damaged, others set ablaze. The British flotilla pressed its attack, torpedoes slicing through the water, smashing into ships and shore installations alike. German supply ships were destroyed, ammunition barges exploded in great sheets of fire that lit up the fjord like sunlight. On the bridge of Hardy, Warburton-Lee watched as his attack unfolded perfectly. The Germans had been caught by surprise. But the Germans recovered quickly. Hidden among the fjords and side channels, more German destroyers began to move. Within half an hour, the British destroyers were running low on ammunition and fuel. And now it was time to withdraw. As Hardy turned to lead her flotilla back toward the open sea, two German destroyers, Georg Thiele and Bernd von Arnim, appeared out of the snow squall. Their guns opened fire almost simultaneously, sending fountains of water and bursts of flames around the British ships. The narrow fjord became a trap. Shells screamed through the air and Hardy was hit repeatedly. One shell tore through her bridge, shattering glass and splintering steel. Captain Warburton-Lee was gravely wounded, but he refused to leave his post. Reports say he continued giving orders calmly, urging his men to return fire and keep fighting. His last command was steady and simple: keep on engaging the enemy. Moments later, another shell struck the bridge, killing him instantly. Hardy was burning. Her steering was gone, her bridge destroyed, and her guns falling silent one by one. Still, her crew fought to save her, firing until the ammunition was gone. When it became clear she could not stay afloat, the surviving officers steered her toward shore, running her aground in Balingen Fjord. The impact threw men from their posts. The ship listed sharply, her hull broken and aflame. Then the order came to abandon ship. In the freezing Arctic water, men clung to wreckage or swam to shore through burning oil and debris. Of her crew, over 60 were killed or wounded. Those who survived reached the rocky coast where Norwegian villagers helped pull them from the icy surf. They watched from the shore as their ship, once sleek and proud, burned against the dark cliffs. HMS Hardy, the lead destroyer of her class, had fought to the last. The First Battle of Narvik had cost the Royal Navy dearly, but it was not without impact. Hardy's daring attack had taken the Germans by surprise, sinking or damaging several destroyers and destroying critical supplies intended to support their invasion. The Germans, trapped in the fjords with limited fuel and ammunition, faced a situation from which escape was nearly impossible. Back in London, news of Hardy's sacrifice spread quickly. Captain Warburton-Lee was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, the first of the Second World War. His bravery, and that of his crew, became a symbol of the Royal Navy's spirit to fight against overwhelming odds and hold fast to duty until the very end. The surviving destroyers of the flotilla limped back to sea, battered but unbroken. They had faced superior forces, struck a heavy blow, and shown that courage could still prevail when nothing else could. Hardy herself lay broken and silent in the snow-covered fjord. Her hull remained there for years, a rusting monument to courage. In the days that followed, British and German forces clashed again in the same waters, in what became the Second Battle of Narvik. More ships were lost on both sides. The fjord would become a graveyard of steel, littered with wrecks that would rest beneath the ice for generations. The name HMS Hardy has a long and proud history in the Royal Navy. Other vessels carrying the name continued to serve in subsequent years, each upholding the tradition of courage, dedication, and sacrifice associated with the name. Each new Hardy honored the legacy of those who had come and gone before, including the crew who fought and died at Narvik. The fjord had claimed her, but not her story. The story of HMS Hardy is more than a tale of one ship. It is a testament to what the Royal Navy stood for during the outbreak of the Second World War. Britain's fleet was not always the largest or the most modern, but it carried a tradition forged over centuries, a belief that duty came before survival, and that the sea demanded everything from those who sailed upon it. Hardy's crew embodied that belief. They were not men seeking glory, but sailors performing their duty, thousands of miles from home, in a frozen corner of the world few had ever heard of. Their fight at Narvik showed that the Royal Navy would not surrender the northern seas. It marked one of the first true naval battles of the war, a stark reminder that war at sea remained a contest of courage and endurance. The legacy of Hardy's final stand resonated throughout the war. Destroyer crews from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean remembered Narvik as proof that even when outnumbered and outgunned, British sailors could prevail. Her story became part of naval training, morale speeches, and the broader understanding of what it meant to serve under the White Ensign. Hardy's courage was taught not as legend, but as example. Today, the wreck of HMS Hardy still lies in the clear, icy waters of the Ofot fjord. Nature has softened her scars. Fish swim through the shattered hull, and seaweed sways where men once stood at their guns. From time to time, divers place small flags or wreaths upon her remains, a quiet tribute to the men who fought and died there. The fjord is peaceful now, but beneath the calm surface lies the memory of thunder, fire, and loss. When the Arctic wind blows through the valley and across the water, one might imagine the faint echo of Hardy's guns, the cries of her crew, and the final command of her captain, to fight on no matter the cost. In the great ledger of the Royal Navy's history, her name stands beside those of the proudest ships ever built, not because of her size or victories, but because she and her crew proved that even a small destroyer, facing impossible odds, could change the course of history through sheer determination. HMS Hardy did not survive the war, but her story did. It lives on in naval records, in memorials, and in the quiet respect of sailors who still whisper her name. She was steel and fire, courage and sacrifice, and like so many ships before and after her, she gave everything for the sea and the flag she served. From the gun decks to the bridge, every story we tell honors those who served. If this tale made you feel the salt and steel of history, give it a like, and if you're not yet part of our channel's convoy, subscribe and join the ranks. More powerful stories await.